Hi, Elizabeth Moore here, and we are back for day 5 of our Grocery Getters Bootcamp. So, before we get started, today's tips are about what to look for when you're shopping for meat and dairy. So I totally understand that one or both of these might not apply to a lot of people. It also is important to note here that I am not a nutritionist. These recommendations are just stuff that work for me and for my family and stuff that I've learned along the way and that I just wanted to pass along to people that were like me 2 years ago when I had no idea, what I was looking for. I pretty much ate whatever I wanted, pretty much a diet of all carbs for a very long time. So when I decided to clean up my diet, when I noticed the impact that that had on my life, these are things that I found. So take what you need from these tips and apply it to your life as well. And if nothing applies to your life, that's fine. These are just to help people that aren't exactly sure where to begin. So these are just real quick tips what to look for when you're shopping for both meat and dairy. So when it comes to meat products, obviously you're looking for the leanest cuts of meat. Now there's a couple things here. You can literally just look at the piece of meat and tell right from that if there's a lot of fat, if there's a lot of marbling, if there's a lot of fat like around the edges and stuff, you can trim the fat around the edges, but you can tell the leanest cuts of meat literally just by looking at it. And then another point here is a lot of people are like, well, if you take out a lot of the fat, there goes a lot of the flavor as well. That's true to an extent, but you can add in tons of flavor yourself from home. So adding seasonings, spices, healthy fats like oil, what you put on top of the meat, all that stuff you can add back in to compensate for the flavor that you're losing by getting rid of some of that fat. So those are my tips just to start out with meat. I'm going to give you a couple examples just to get you started. So for the lean cuts of meat, what you're looking for, like I said, just look. What does it look like? Does it have a lot of marbling? And if not, that's what I naturally gravitate towards anyways, but you might not. So the leaner cuts of meat would be like your sirloins, your rounds, your tenderloins. Venison is naturally leaner cut of meat. As far as poultry, so chicken and turkey, skinless is perfect. White meat or dark meat, white tends to be the leaner cut, but honestly either one is fine. As far as fish, salmon tends to be a great choice, but any kind of fish is going to be a lean choice in general. And then as far as the ground meats, they kind of get a bad rap in the nutrition world because of the way that we use them. In general, we use them in casseroles and stuff that we add a lot of bad stuff, like not nutritious stuff too. So the lean meats get a bad rap, but they're not bad for you. You want to be looking for like the 93% lean or higher. I don't know how much higher they really go, but that's your ground beef, your ground chicken, your ground turkey. And like I said, you can add stuff to it to amp up that flavor. So if you like the flavor that fat is, and you think you got to get the higher fat content, add flavor to it. You can add literally tons of stuff. Just don't buy like the pre-seasoned. Like I know there's a lot of pre-seasoned, pre-packaged, especially fish. A lot of that has extra calories, extra sodium, and preservatives because it's already been made for you. So just buy whatever kind of meat you were looking for and make your own at home. It's going to be healthier and it's probably going to taste a lot fresher and better as well. Those are my tips for meat. I am not a meat expert by any means because I don't like to eat a ton of it. I do eat meat, but I don't like to cook it at all, but I do eat it. So in regards to dairy, the one thing that I want to mention is don't be afraid of fat. Dairy by nature is high in fat. So the thing to remember with dairy is that you just got to watch your portions. If something that is a dairy product and it's lower fat, it's light, it's reduced fat, what that means, like red lights should go off flashing, that means that it was processed and those fats were taken out. And I'm going to talk about that in another video in this series, so I'm not going to go into that today. So that's just a thing to remember. Don't be afraid of fat when you're looking at dairy. Just watch your portions. So a couple things that I'm going to mention about dairy products. First would be yogurts. The best is always unsweetened. You know, get the plain yogurts and flavor it yourself at home. Add fruit, add honey. If you don't, and I'm guilty of this as well because I like the flavored yogurts, compare a couple brands for their sugar content and go with the one that has the least sugar. Again, don't look for the reduced fat or the light yogurts. Go for the full fat versions and sweeten it yourself if you can handle that. Cheese, one thing I want to mention about cheese, if you can, try and get the block cheese and shred it yourself. The only thing about that is the pre-shredded cheese has anti-caking agents added to it. And don't get me wrong, I still buy it too for convenience at times, but you're eating anti-caking agents when you're eating pre-shredded cheese. So that's just something to keep in mind. And again, all these are just tips and information for you to take and for you to apply to your life however works best for you. And then the last thing about milk, so your almond milk, your soy milk, and that, look for the unsweetened. A lot of people, you know, the unsweetened obviously doesn't taste as sweet. So if you're gonna buy the sweetened, just take a look at the label. Look at A, what it was sweetened with, and B, how much sugar content, like how much sweetener is in those. So those are my tips for meat and dairy products. I hope that one or two or several of these tips helped you out, and I will be back again tomorrow. Have a great day.